Afternoon, everyone. I'm David with Americans for Limited Government. The Biden crime family saga continues. It almost feels like it's a weekly occurrence where we find out there is something more damning to the idea that Biden did have communications with, more specifically, that Joe had communications with Hunter regarding his business deals while Joe was the vice president. Let's jump into this first story here. Joe Biden's Robert Peters pseudonym under scrutiny as GOP probes emails. So, Joe Biden had emails sent and received that had the pseudonyms of Robert Peters and Robin Ware while he was the vice president. And Hunter Biden was CC'd on these emails. Here are some facts of the story. House Committee on Oversight and Accountability wants unredacted emails from Biden's time as vice president related to Ukraine and Burisma. The scrutiny is part of the ongoing House Republican investigation into President Biden and his son Hunter. The committee is seeking all unredacted documents and communications where Biden used pseudonyms such as Robert Peters and Robin Ware. The committee also wants to see communications involving Hunter Biden and associates Devon Archer and Eric Sherwin. The committee is seeking drafts of a speech Biden delivered to the Ukrainian parliament in 2015. Here's what's interesting. I mean, Joe Biden said this. He stated there was an absolute wall between his family's foreign business dealings and his duties as the vice president. But evidence reveals that access was wide open for his family's influence peddling, Comer said in a statement. I mean, you've got Newsweek is not they're not conservative. They're a left-leaning publication from what I've read, from what I've seen. You've got all media reporting on Biden and talking about this alleged scandal. I think, if something walks like a duck, if it talks like a duck, at this point, do you not say that it's a duck? But it's interesting to note that Newsweek is reporting on this, and this is just not going to go away for Joe Biden, this scandal. And another thing that's interesting is if you look at the timing between the news breaking on the Hunter Joe Ukraine scandal, President Trump, former President Trump, is indicted right afterwards. It's like there's a new indictment every time something happens with the Ukraine corruption. It's a classic change direction of your attention, get your attention over here. The committee wants unrestricted access to a NARA case record that was first made public in June. The record contains 4 emails, but 2 were withheld and 2 others had redactions. There's a quote here I'm looking for. I think that's here is what, if you didn't see this testimony or you didn't see the Devon Archer, Tucker Carlson interview, go watch that. But here is what Devon Archer said in testimony. All this was behind closed doors. We already have evidence of then Vice President Biden speaking, dining, and having coffee with his son's business associates, Comer said, referring to testimony by Devon Archer. So not a quote from Devon Archer, but it's there. It happened. And it's really sad that the media is straight up ignoring, the corporate mainstream media is ignoring and omitting some critical facts about this, but they're being forced to report on it because alternate media, small media, channels like us, although we're not a media organization, we bring you this information because this new age of media, post-mass media, is so important to support your channels like us that you watch, just because we force the mainstream media to talk about this stuff. And that awakens what I would call, this is just my nomenclature, normies, people that don't pay too much attention. When alternate media, independent media, really, that's what it is, when they talk about these issues and it forces the mainstream media to talk about it, people who are not paying attention then start to learn more about this corruption. And that's what we need. We need to get this message out. X, Twitter, that being where it is, it's not perfectly free speech, but you can talk about these stories there, and a lot of, again, independent news channels and YouTube channels. So that is it's good. The narrative is changing. It's good. So I want to talk about a couple other stories, but that was the main point of this. There are emails, and James Comer is looking for to see more of these emails where Biden used a fake name to communicate regarding the business deals in Ukraine. Okay, here's another major story. Democrat strategists fear ticking time bomb that will blow up the party's 2024 hopes. This is the immigration crisis is getting out of control. You had the state of Massachusetts declare a state of emergency. They're looking for help, and they've only got like 20,000 illegal immigrants. And you compare that to Texas or Arizona, they're getting that many in a few days. That's 20,000 is how many the state of Massachusetts received in like over a year. So it's so, you see people in some blue cities say, we're pro immigration and illegal immigration, but when people start showing up, all of a sudden it's an issue. They're not too happy about it. But this story says that Hochul is facing challenges. I think I'm saying her name right, Governor Hochul, from Democrats and Republicans regarding the migrant crisis. Democrat political consultant Doug Foran states that Hochul will need to take stronger positions on the issue soon. Some Democrats worry about the Hochul's handling of the crisis could cost the party control of the House in the 2024 elections. She accused Mayor Eric Adams of a lack of communication on the crisis. While Adams has requested more assistance from the state government, Hochul has called for a federal solution to the migrant crisis and has raised the issue with the White House. This is why I think there's going to be a conservative victory in the House, the Senate, and I think these cases are going to be thrown out by the U.S. Supreme Court. That's my opinion. But the immigration crisis, independents are going to look around, and some of these blue cities, they're going to be like, why are these people that are here illegally getting all of this aid, and they're getting the stay in housing, and they're getting phones in some cases, but we have homeless U.S. veterans all over the country. Like, what is with that's putting America not first. That's putting America last. So people are seeing this, and Democrats are worried about this. And Biden, he's politically, he's in trouble for this. And if that's not enough, right? From my colleague Robert Romano, the other day, he covered this article, I believe, but I'm going to just briefly discuss it again. The Fed said there's a significant probability of a recession occurring by the end of 2024 as the presidential election looms. The Federal Reserve forecasts significant probability of a recession. Unemployment is currently low, but projected to rise. The Fed does not consider boosted production as a means to reduce prices. We still got 3% inflation, and a recession might be necessary to control inflation. So what is the thing that unelects most presidents, that keeps first-term presidents from having a second term? It's recessions. That is statistically the strongest thing that makes presidents lose elections. And it looks like all signs point towards it happening before the 2024 election. It's not guaranteed, and I think Biden's going to try to manipulate financial policies that help control some indicators, but I don't think it's going to work. It's my opinion, and the Fed's opinion. There's going to be a recession, and that's another thing that's going to hurt Biden's chances of re-election. And then this last article, and I'm going to take some comments and questions if I can put them on screen. Y'all probably know this. There's strict guidelines with Facebook and YouTube. I can only put up some comments. But let's look at this last story here. Pathetic. Black Hispanic voters shred Biden over handling of economy. Black and Hispanic male voters voice concerns over President Biden's economic performance. They describe their attitude as discouraged, pathetic, and pessimistic. Dissatisfaction with Democrats is linked to the rise in crime and the crisis on the southern border. They can't pretend this is not an issue. Cannot pretend. President Biden is promoting his economic. I got to laugh at Bidenomics. It's the opposite. They tell you something and it works in the opposite through investing in America. Yeah, okay. Fitch Ratings predicted a mild recession. Again, this is another group that's predicting a recession. And they reduced the U.S. credit rating from AAA to AA+. That is huge. I don't know if enough media is talking about that, but the U.S. having a credit rating reduction, that means that there's less confidence in our ability to repay debts. And I think we have something like 30 trillion right now. It's just, it keeps going and going and going. One Hispanic respondent criticizes the government for sending money abroad instead of supporting the domestic economy. Y'all probably know about that. The residents of Hawaii receive $700 each, the individuals affected by the wildfires. But Biden, I believe, in the bill in Congress, Democrats had attached more money for Ukraine. They want money for Ukraine, or the residents in Hawaii can't get their money. It's what a world we live in, right? It's really, really sad. But Biden is promoting, again, Bidenomics. I can't quit laughing at that. Approval ratings show that only 36% of Americans approve of Biden's handling of the economy. A survey reveals a disapproval among 37% of black voters and 55% of Hispanic voters towards Biden's economic management. Yeah, we still got the 3.2% inflation, but I think that's because gas was lower, but now it's going back up. If you look at your energy bill, that inflation, I don't know the exact numbers. I looked at them a few weeks ago. It's still high. Energy is still high. Housing is still high. We've just hit a 20-year high with the interest rates for refinancing your house. It's pretty wild. Let's look and see what we got here. Looks like I've got to block a user that's spamming unrelated stuff. So many fake users on Facebook that are like sending messages about alternate doctors. Let's see. I'm looking at your comments here again. I'll put some comments up if I can, if they align with, this is interesting, Michael. I don't know if he's going to resign. I've thought about this. Are they going to replace Biden on the 2024 ticket? I've heard people say if you replace Biden, then you're going to have Kamala, who has a worse approval rating. But if you replace Biden with anybody else other than Kamala, then you're going to have some voters who are extremely angry that Kamala doesn't get to become the next president. So I don't know if he's going to resign or not. I kind of think they're going to keep him on because they're in a catch-22. I mean, people are really dissatisfied with Joe Biden, but the alternative, Kamala, has a worse approval rating. And what do you do there? So I'm not sure about that. Let's see what other comments we got here. Let's see. What a surprise. It does seem that way, that he is, he's done a lot of things that's not in the interest of the American people, the best interest. Let's see. I'm still looking through your comments, see what I can put up here. This is interesting too. Send China trillions, creating permanent jobs there and creating a phony infrastructure bill from a few billion, and those those Joshua run out. Not sure what you mean by that last part, but the infrastructure bill, without knowing too much about it, I don't know. I haven't heard Americans say that they've seen anything positive from the infrastructure bill. And I do know that China is building 2 new coal plants per week. And we're over here with our energy policies. I call them woke energy policies because they're not sustainable. Trying to get rid of the gasoline engine gas generators in the future. The Biden administration, they're using executive orders. They're trying to rule like kings, even though it's the job of the legislative branch to pass some of these massive energy things. And I know that it's really hampering our economy compared to China. You're going to let China build 2 coal plants per week, but over here we've got to shut down more plants. We've got to harm our own energy. It just doesn't make sense. There's only one way, in my mind, again, this is my opinion, to interpret it. It's that they want to harm our energy sector. I can't think of a more reasonable explanation of that, because green energy, if it were sustainable over time and everybody could adapt to it, fine. But nobody can afford, not many Americans can afford a $60,000 new electric vehicle, and the electric grid can't handle it. So talking about the infrastructure bill, they don't have the ability to bring forth what they want. Let's take a look at some other comments here. Yeah, I'll just double back on this. Everything comes from dirt and oil, and I think electric cars and batteries are going to keep creating everything. Yeah, it requires so much energy to get the heavy metals that are needed in electric cars. Like, it's so hypocritical how much energy they use to get to the batteries for the electric cars. Let's see. I'm not sure about this. I don't doubt it. I'll just putting this up. There's so many military bases. I know the United States has the most, but I would be most concerned right now personally with China, what they're going to do regarding Taiwan. Taiwan manufactures the most sophisticated chips in the world, and the U.S. is finally, this is one thing that I can say good about Biden. I'm not a complete partisan hack. I like to give some credit where it's due, even though I do not think Biden is good for America. The CHIPS Act, we are starting to build. I think it got delayed, but chips in America and the United States. And that's good, because if China takes Taiwan, all of those really sophisticated chips we need in new cars, we need in our cell phones, we need in pretty much all modern technology. This computer that I'm using right now to stream to you right now, if China takes Taiwan, then we're going to lose access to those chips. And those chips can make powerful AI too. That's one of the biggest military threat concerns I've heard about is AI being weaponized. So I would be concerned about that as well. Let's see. I see someone in the comments saying they're going to put Michelle Obama in place. Yeah, that's interesting. We'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. Okay, I just wanted to give you all that quick update that Biden, now we know he was using fake names when communicating with Hunter and potentially someone regarding the business deals in Ukraine. It is wild times. Appreciate you joining, stopping by. Hit the thumbs up, comment, subscribe, share, follow. Helps our channel grow. We will be back with more soon. Y'all take care.